of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southeast.
It's a beautiful night for baseball on the banks of the Ohio River, and the Reds fans are excited about their ball club, especially after they had a home run hitting barrage in the fourth inning last night. The Braves hope to keep the ball in the ballpark and get even with the Reds in Game 2 of our series here at the Great American Ballpark. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to Cincinnati, where it's Tyrell Jenkins' turn to take the ball in a starting assignment for Atlanta. It's always exciting when youngsters get the ball. Tyrell makes his second start, and hopefully, Joe, he can keep the ball on the ground like he did last time out against the Phillies.
He's been very impressive, Chip. I really like what I see when he's on the mound about how he enjoys being out there. He's had great poise. He has not been intimidated by the moment ever since he got here, and especially in that start in Philadelphia. He was outstanding, pitched a great ball game, pitched into the fifth inning, and really should have gotten a win out of that. He pitched well enough to win, but real focused, a lot of poise. Love what we've seen from Tyrell Jenkins.
And the numbers for young Tyrell Jenkins, he is continuing to grow. This will be his sixth big league game, and those certainly are respectable numbers, especially, Joe, with that ground ball rate. Meanwhile, Cody Reed's got the ball for the Reds, and ground balls have not been part of his repertoire. He's getting shellacked, especially at home.
No, he's got a different look working also with his croakies. And there are some balls being croaked out of the ballpark left and right on this guy. I don't know if he took off the croakies if the home runs would go away, but it would sure get people off his back in terms of making fun of him. 9 home runs in less than 30 innings in his debut with the Cincinnati Reds after coming over from the Kansas City Royals in the deal for Johnny Cueto. He's a great big guy and was a second-round pick. 0-4 so far, though, with a very, very big ERA. He's hoping to get that number reduced tonight.
My partner is not a fan of the croakies or the party chords. Hopefully we'll be a fan of Cody Reed as the Braves will try to play long ball tonight, Paul Bird, and get this series even up at a game apiece.
You got it. Great stuff. Some inside information, guys. Cody Reed is nasty, 93-98, so we need to forget about the ERA and the win-loss record. He has dropped his arm down, and he's flattened out a little bit. They're trying to get him to get a little bit more on top, get that good run and sink. But how about Tyrell Jenkins? Man, outstanding 27-11 ground ball to fly ball ratio. What that means is he can pitch in any park. In my opinion, ground balls play anywhere, especially at Great American where we need it. And guys, I don't want to be redundant unless I really, really mean it. And I do in this case. Joe Simpson hit the nail on the head. His makeup, his poise, the stuff you can't put a radar gun is what Tyrell Jenkins possesses. That's his biggest strength, according to scouts and front office people. So Braves fans, get excited about this young man in his second major league start. I can't wait to see him throw tonight. Back to you, Chip.
Day game tomorrow, Paul. Make sure you got your croakies.
Great call.
How do you top that? Game 2, Braves and Reds from Cincinnati. Lineups are coming right up.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Baseball's commissioner's office. Susan Hilgefort, MLB's senior director of business affairs, died on Saturday in a small plane crash along with her husband Michael and a close friend. Suzanne had worked for the broadcasting department for over 20 years and was instrumental in the launch of MLB Network. To all of us in the Fox family, Hilgefort played a key role in the league's coordination of our baseball jewel events, the All-Star Game, playoffs, and the World Series. Our prayers go out to her family and the families of her husband and friend.
Mazda.
It is a beautiful night here in Cincinnati, and I must say the city of Cincinnati should be very proud of what they have done with their riverfront. It is spectacular. This has become a very, very nice destination for National League clubs. As you see the weather conditions, if you care about the barometric pressure, it's at 27.2 millibars. I don't know what that means. I know it's 89, feels like 91, and it's always a hitter-friendly park here in Cincinnati where, Joe, the Braves try to even things up with the Reds, and this place, for some reason, has been a very tough place for the Braves to play. A look at the Reds' defensive lineup. Only one change. That's the man behind the plate. Cabrera gets the start for Tucker Barnhart. Reds hit a bunch of home runs last night. A big fourth-inning doomed Matt Whistler, and somehow, some way, Braves need to show off some power and keep the Reds in the park tonight.
Cody Reed's a big guy, 23 years old, 6'5", 225, out of Horn Lake, Mississippi. He was signed by the Royals out of Northwest Mississippi Community College. And his numbers, not very pretty to start his major league career. 29 strikeouts, though, in 24 2/3 innings. As Paul pointed out, his arm angle has dropped a little bit. They're trying to get him a little bit more up on top because he's given up 9 home runs in 24 2/3 innings. That's a ton.
And the lineup he'll face tonight for Brian Snitker looks this way. Gordon Beckham's back out there after an 0-for-5 game last night. Adonis Garcia hit a home run. Freddie Freeman, Nick Markakis, Jeff Francoeur, Inciarte, Recker, Ibar, and Terrell Jenkins hitting ninth. I don't remember a major league pitcher wearing the croquis, party cords, whatever you want to call them.
Never seen it before. I can't believe Brandon Phillips or Joey Votto haven't just walked by and snipped those. I don't get it.
But there is a story behind the glasses part of it for Cody Reed, which we'll get to in a moment, as his first pitch is down and in. Beckham at 256, 3 homers, 17 RBIs. Reed does not wear glasses. He does not wear contacts, we're told. He has not had LASIK surgery. But the only time he has trouble seeing is when he's on the mound. He could not see the signs for the catcher when he was a high school pitcher. So his mom took him to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor prescribed these goggle-looking glasses, which Reed was reluctant to wear in high school, as you can imagine. But he started to wear them his sophomore year, as Phillips can't get that hot smash. And Beckham's aboard to start the game. But he started to wear them his sophomore year. He's continued to wear them, and believe it or not, that is the same pair of glasses he got as a high school sophomore as he begins his major league career with the Reds.
I believe it. So that was some 7 years ago. Styles have changed. But, okay.
So a man aboard for Adonis Garcia. He lines one to Votto at first. He'll step on the bag, and Beckham is doubled up. Votto's taken some heat for his play at first base. He's committed 6 errors, but he handled that hot smash. And it's a line-out double play for Adonis Garcia.
Adonis has been using the whole field, line to line. And robbed of a hit there. If he's not holding the runner on, that ball gets by Votto down the line. 2 hard hit balls already.
Swing and miss for Freddie Freeman. Freddie snapped out of an 0 for 13 last night with a base hit. He also struck out 7 straight times before picking up that hit.
Long arm action here for Reed. You can see the ball out of the glove behind him, and then as he starts to the plate, you can pick it up nicely out of his hand, or should be able to.
Quickly 1-2 for Freddie Freeman, and a line drive to left, and Duvall in the sunshine makes a tumbling catch. 3 hard hit balls by the Braves, and Reed survives the first inning. Tyrell Jenkins to work, no score. So far tonight, Tyrell Jenkins is ready to go. He's going to face the Cincinnati Reds for the first time, and coming off a pretty impressive start against the Phillies.
Yeah, and it was a while ago. It was July 6th in Philadelphia, so he's had almost 2 weeks rest, but it was a really good outing. 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Pitched a good ball game. His 4 keys to pitching success today. Number 1, ground balls are good, as we've explained. He's had a real good ground ball to fly ball ratio, especially in this ballpark. which is not Coors Light, it's Coors Heavy. They've actually, since this ballpark opened, this park has given up more home runs than Coors Field and any other ballpark in baseball. Keep it down tonight.
And look out, Tyrell Jenkins begins the game. He's going to pitch out of the stretch to start things off, and he missed to Zach Cozart, the shortstop. 1 ball, no strikes.
And he did in Philly too, which was a good thing since he had been working out of the bullpen a lot. And check out Tyrell's glasses. Nice, clean, cool.
So with my partner Foster Grant.
Looking good, Tyrell.
We like watching this guy pitch, don't we?
I do. Yeah, we do.
And he paints a corner. Cozart now a 2 ball, 1 strike count. Cozart equaled his career high in home runs with number 15 last night. His lone hit in 5 trips to the plate. And now he's way ahead, 3-1. Billy Hamilton's next. Joey Votto lurking in the 3-hole for Brian Price. And a chopper to short. Ibar's got it. And Cozart is out number 1. Ibar had a little trouble getting rid of it, but 1 hitter faced, 1 ground ball out for Tyrell Jenkins. Here's the rest of the Cincinnati lineup. Billy Hamilton had a big game. 3 hits, 3 stolen bases, and is 11 for his last 11 on the base paths. So you got to keep him under control, especially hitting in front of Joey Votto, who had a 3-run homer for Cincinnati. Last night was the first game that Billy Hamilton played against the Braves this year. And it's 1 in the air to right, and right at Nick Markakis. Quickly, 2 outs. And with Joey Votto coming up with his 15 home runs, let's take a peek at the point Joe was making a moment ago, our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
That's since 2003 when this ballpark opened. By comparison, these are the top 6 home run ballparks. Coors Field down there tied with the Rogers Center in Toronto for 5th place. They got a hefty lead here.
Yeah. Votto's come out of the All-Star break swinging a hot bat. He's got 8 hits in his first 15 at bats since the All-Star game. Reds had a series with Milwaukee. Now game 2 tonight against the Braves.
A little slide step, quick pitch there.
Ooh.
Oh my. Close according to Fox Tracks. Good pitch though.
Well, if anybody's going to get a close call, it's this guy.
Yeah.
With his high on base percentage and high walk totals throughout his career. And Votto now way ahead, 3 balls and a strike. Votto walked 143 times last year. He's walked 100 times or more in 3 seasons with the Reds. He's led the league in that category 3 separate times.
This ballpark gives up a lot of cheap home runs. This is not one of them. Right at 400 feet, halfway up the bleachers.
Full count for the Reds' first baseman, and Tyrell turns it loose and just missed outside. Votto's aboard with a 2-out walk. And that'll bring up Jay Bruce. Bruce had a hit last night. He's hit 18 homers. He's knocked in 64 runs. I mean, this is a nasty 3-4-5 combination for the Reds with Votto, Bruce, and Duvall.
Left-handers are 7 for 21 against Terrell, and beginning with Hamilton, a switch hitter, but 3 lefties in a row that are tough outs.
Anthony Recker back in harness with a left-hander on the mound for the Reds. He had a nice game behind the plate last night. And that sailed off the plate.
Can't pitch behind in this park. That's another no-no. Got to get ahead. These guys, the Reds, don't walk a lot. They're last in the league in walks. Down near the bottom of the league in strikeouts. They swing it.
Jay Bruce was born in Beaumont, Texas, hometown of Frank Robinson. And a great player here with the Reds. And now he'll see a 3-1 pitch.
In a little trouble right now with that two-seamer. It's running off the plate and starting too far off the plate for the left-hand hitters to offer. Again, he hasn't pitched in almost 2 weeks other than side sessions.
Fly ball, well hit toward left center field. That ball's headed for the Reds bullpen, and it is gone. A home run the other way for Jay Bruce.
Outer third of the plate. Bruce shows you his power the other way in this ballpark. That wasn't a cheap one either to that part of the Great American Ballpark.
So the 2-out walk to Votto. Bruce hits a 2-run homer, and now Adam Duvall, the Reds All-Star, with 23 bombs of his own, stands in with Cincinnati in front 2-0.
It was a 3-1 count, wasn't it?
It was, and Terrell's had 3 of those in the first inning.
A lot of scouts here for this series, and if any of them are here to watch Jay Bruce and see how he's swinging it prior to the trade deadline, they had to be impressed with that.
Bruce is on pace to hit 30 homers, Joe, and knock in 110, 111 runs.
Plays a good right field, has a good arm, solid player for any team.
There's some of the scouts in Cincy tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Duvall. Fourth 3-ball count of the inning. Brandon Phillips waits on deck. Duvall walks. Now, the same question we asked last night is certainly applicable here. You said it very well. He hasn't pitched since July 6th. That's 13 days for a young man making his second major league start. That's really tough to do against this lineup.
I don't know. I guess it's just me. I just feel like even watching Matt Whistler last night, that they're just a click off, having not pitched in that stretch of time and trying to get their bearings. That's certainly apparent here tonight for Tyrell. Not missing by much.
And now he'll face the hottest Reds hitter.
Oh, nice play.
Record with another great stop. Brandon Phillips riding a 7-game hitting streak.
Nice stop, Anthony.
Like Julio Teheran, Tyrell Jenkins has an excellent pickoff move, so that might come in handy tonight. Not the ratio Mr. Jenkins wanted tonight. Jay Bruce with an opposite field homer has the Reds in front, 2-0. And the 2-0 pitch is chopped to third. Adonis goes to second, and that retires the side. A 2-out walk and a 2-out homer. And just like that, Cincinnati has jumped in front after 1. Reds 2, Atlanta 0. Game 2 here at the Great American Ballpark. Series long, Braves fans love coming to Cincinnati. And some creative signs for Hunter Cervenka and Chase d'Arnaud. And hopefully some runs are in store for Tyrell Jenkins in support, as he's given up 2 in the first inning on a 2-run homer by Jay Bruce. The Braves hit Cody Reed very hard in the opening inning. 2 should not be enough to win this game. The Braves are hoping that won't be the case. As Markakis, Francoeur, and Ender Inciarte are coming up. Nick has a hit in 6 of his last 7 games. And Reed pumps over a fastball. Nice honor was afforded to Nick Markakis today. He was named by Major League Baseball Players Alumni as the Braves representative for the 2016 Heart and Hustle Award. The award honors active players who demonstrate a passion for the game and best embody the values, spirit, and traditions of Major League Baseball. The final winner will be announced in mid-November at the 17th annual Legends for Youth dinner in New York City.
There's another BB. And Nick, a very good nominee for that award.
The Braves as a club have had their share of troubles against left-handed starters. That has not been an issue for Jeff Francoeur, as you'll see on our Zaxby's indescribably good play.
4 homers, 18 RBIs. Had a double last night and an RBI off the left-handed pitcher, Finnegan.
And as you said last night, it's not just lefties that Jeff's hitting well. He's swinging about well against everybody right now.
Yeah, he is. He's getting a few strikeouts here and there against right-handers, but holding his own.
One ball, one strike. And fouled at the plate. It's 1-2.
Hey, Paul, you mentioned in opening comments about Reed, about his arm angle, that he's dropped down a little bit. What is that doing to him? Is that, you said, flattening out, hitters getting a little better look at it, not as much tilt to his slider?
It is. What I've been told is in spring training he was nasty. He had a great spring training, but his elbow was up. He was on top of the ball. His stuff is filthy from the left side. But you know, as a hitter, sometimes if you drop down, you'll get sink, but then other guys drop down and the ball stays flat in the zone longer and they're easier to hit. So not only are they picking it up and seeing it easier when he drops down, but it's just on a level plane.
How about that pitch? 95 on the black, and in a perfect spot for his first strikeout of the game.
There's no denying his arm. Got a good arm. But as I said before, he shows you the ball right out of the glove, even when it's tracking behind him. It's a long arm action.
Yes, no deception. And this guy has way too good of stuff to have the ERA that he has and the 1-loss record he has, no matter what park you pitch in. And so they're trying to figure that out, and they really believe it's the arm angle. But tonight I don't see him on top. I see the same sidearm we saw in video.
Me too.
Would this guy be a candidate to, first the pitch to Ender, would this guy be a candidate to adopt a John Gray-like windup, Joe or Paul? Would he be able to do that in the offseason to try to hide the ball better?
Paul?
Yeah, I think he could. I mean, to hide the ball, you want to stay closed longer, and the hitters will let you know if they're picking it up well. He's got that big, long arm, so they see it early. So you can turn the shoulder to be more deceptive. You can throw some balls up top and then throw some balls down where you delay hitters picking up the ball. Not everybody can do that, but he did it in spring training, so it tells me if he's done it before, he can do it now. And you don't have to wait to the offseason to make those kind of adjustments, especially when you're not in a playoff race. You're young, you got a dynamite arm, and as we talk about at times, guys are learning at the big league level. So I'm not the pitching coach. If I was, I would be making some serious changes on Mr. Reed, and that would start with an elevated arm angle.
Fouled away by Inciarte. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Paul, do you see an emphasis more these days on just throwing hard as opposed to pitching? Just wind up and air it out?
Yes, I do. And I see, you know, you can say velocity is not important, velocity is not important, but to me, it's more important.
A ricochet to Cozart, but no play. All hands are safe. Suarez couldn't handle that hopper at third base. And the Braves have runners first and second with a bit of help. And it's an error on Suarez, his 16th error this year.
Yeah, they've made a ton of errors as a team. That's number 67. Make it 68. They made one last night. Finish your thought, Paul, on the throwers.
So you can say velocity is not important. You got to pitch. But then when front offices make moves and trade for and call guys up who can't necessarily, do not pitch very well, but they throw really hard, then it tells me that you believe something different than what you're talking about. So I am not saying velocity is not important. It is. But, Joe, you can attest as a former hitter that raw velocity, no movement, no deception, at this level in the big leagues, the home runs just go further.
Yep.
So I would like to see more decisions made on guys that can pitch and not just raw velocity.
Well, no matter how hard you throw, if you see the ball as well as hitters must be seeing it out of Reed's hand, doesn't matter how hard he's throwing, they're going to pick it up and be able to time it.
I agree.
And now he's gone 3-0 to Recker. Eric Aybar waits on deck. Markakis led off with a single. Francoeur struck out. Inciarte reached on an error. Tying runners aboard for the Braves. One out here in the second. And 4 straight puts the Atlanta catcher at first base. The bases are loaded now. And the man coming up could sure use a hit. Eric Aybar is struggling mightily at the plate. Last 9 games, Aybar 2 hits in 30 at bats.
No walks. 8 strikeouts. He's hit into 4 double plays over that 9-game stretch. Don't want a double play here.
Lined off the pitcher and into right field. That's a base hit. And the Braves will keep them loaded. And the ball dropped by Bruce, and now streaking home and scoring is Inciarte. So once again, Ender Inciarte takes advantage of a little mistake by a National League right fielder, and he scampers home from second base. And the Braves have tied it up here in the second inning, 2-2.
First of all, this was a rocket right back at Reed. Lucky to get a glove up and deflect it to keep it off of him. And then when it goes into shallow right field, we've already talked last night about how shallow Bruce plays. But don't give Inciarte an opening. That'll be an E9, allowing the second run to score. But you give Ender an opening, he's going to take advantage of it.
So Jay Bruce and Curtis Granderson have something they can talk about with regards to Inciarte. And now Jenkins shows bunt. And that's outside, ball 1.
Good start of the night for Eric Aybar.
Scored a single and an E9, allowing Inciarte to score. Give Aybar his 15th RBI. And bunted foul to third. Two errors and a walk have helped the Braves offense here in the second. That caught a corner. 1-2. And Terrell bunts that foul. He's struck out. Second strikeout for Reed, and we go back to the top and Gordon Beckham. To the point about batters seeing Cody Reed early and often.
Yeah,
that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it?
Exactly. 348 and 8.
Beckham didn't like that.
Yeah. That was a similar call on Jenkins for strike 2. Tyrell was not getting that pitch.
Recker and Ibar the runners. That's out of play right side. Nice crowd here in Cincinnati. Great baseball town. It's 1-2 for Gordon Beckham.
It's hard to tell if the fans are in their seats because they blend in with the red. Everybody wears their red.
Beautiful new home of the Reds, right on the banks of the Ohio River. Covington, Kentucky. Off in the distance, beyond the right field stands. Pretty view. And it's 2-2.
Nice stop by Cabrera.
Popped up. Long run for Bruce, and slowing near the line. He's there, and that retires the side. The Braves hit Cody Reed very hard in the first 2 innings, literally and figuratively. That comebacker deflected into right, led to 2 Atlanta runs. Suspension Bridge, which crosses from Cincinnati over to Covington, Kentucky. That thing was built in 1876 and was the practical blueprint for the Brooklyn Bridge, which was also designed by John Roebling.
1876?
1876.
Wow.
Big placard right above the top, which makes you a little nervous when you go jogging across the bridge on a hot afternoon in Cincinnati. So new life for Tyrell Jenkins. 2 unearned runs were cashed in for Atlanta. 2-2 in the second. Bottom part of the Reds lineup coming up. And Eugenio Suarez, the Reds third baseman, leads off. He had a very happy 25th birthday last night, one would think. He hit a homer, made a couple of outstanding plays at third base.
Come on, Lance. Man. Made 2 calls on Jenkins and Beckham that were nowhere near as good as either one of those pitches.
Driven toward right. Long run Markakis. That one curling toward the corner. It's a fair ball. And And Suarez will stand at second with a leadoff double. Second Cincinnati hit, both of them for extra bases. And Terrell Jenkins can only watch and wonder what could have been in that at bat.
Well, what a difference it makes when you got to throw a strike when you get behind 2-0 in this ballpark. It was a fastball that was up about bell tie, but doggone it, you're making good pitches and don't get the call. That can't continue tonight if you're going to be successful.
This is Ramon Cabrera, our first look at the switch hitting Cincinnati catcher. A little luxury for the Reds. Tucker Barnhart's a switch hitter. Cabrera's a switch hitter behind the plate. He was the MVP of the Louisville club last year. Hit .290, couple of homers, 35 RBIs.
They had Brian Pena too, remember, and he was a switch hitter.
Cabrera's 5'8", 197, out of Caracas, Venezuela. Was originally signed by the Pirates, went to the Tigers in a deal for Andy Oliver, and then was signed to the Reds on a minor league deal after the 2014 season. Little tapper. Jenkins will make the throw to first. That gets the Reds catcher, one out, and Reed is coming up.
You might wonder why Suarez didn't go to third on that. When you're the runner at second base, it's hard to tell how hard the ball was hit, if it's going to be a one-hopper right back to the mound or if it's going to die in front of him, in front of the pitcher like that one did. So he chose not to take a chance.
So Reed will bat for the first time tonight. He's 0 for 4 at the plate this year. Johnny Cueto was sent to the Royals. Brandon Finnegan, John Lamb, and Cody Reed came back in that deal.
And they've been a little bit, well, I'm not concerned. That would imply that they're really panicked, but that maybe these guys have gotten off to such a slow start. Lamb's already been sent back to AAA. And so far, Finnegan's the only guy that's pitched decent.
Well, their pitching staff's going through exactly what the Braves pitching staff is going through. There are going to be a lot of up and downs. And the disadvantage for the Reds is playing 81 games in this park, unlike the Braves starters who have the benefit of playing in Turner Field. Reed didn't get that. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And now that's strike 3. I beg your pardon. Lost track of the count. First strikeout for Jenkins. Runner at second, 2 outs. And back to the top and Zach Cozart. Becker blocked that.
So far, what we've seen defensively from Anthony Recker has been excellent. 32 years old, still mobile. Gets in front of the ball. Got a good arm.
Breaking ball is hit down the left field line and into the 6. Even count for Cozart.
I like that Terrell continues to pitch inside, both left and right-handed hitters trying to establish that fastball in there.
2-2. Suarez led off with a double. Cabrera tapped back to the mound. Reed just struck out. Now Terrell Jenkins a strike away from moving the game to the third. Lots of deep counts for Terrell Jenkins in his first 2 innings.
You've used the term before, Chip, and we used it last night on Matt Whistler on one of his 4 keys about rust or rest. I think there's just a little bit of rust on all these guys coming back their first time out. They've been throwing on the side, have had bullpen sessions, but they have not pitched to hitters.
You don't want to be rusty against this Reds offense, do you?
Well, there's
right at Ibar short from the cut of the outfield grass. He takes a curl hop and throws to first.
There's also that seed planted about pitching against the Colorado Rockies, pitching in this ballpark, and now after tomorrow's game headed to Coors Field.
But he got out of the second shutdown inning. Braves go back to work in a tie game. Germany, and a big local celebrity in the last century, Henry Holtgrew, ran a saloon in the Over the Rhine area near downtown where Pete Rose was born and grew up. He once outpressed the great Louis Cyr with a single arm lift of 287 pounds. In fact, there's a sign by that downtown mural that said that Henry Holtgrew once put the entire roster of the 1904 Cincinnati Red Stockings on his back and was able to lift them up.
Guess you had to be there.
Yeah. The combined weight was estimated at 4,103 pounds, which I'll bet you didn't know, Joe, made Henry Holtgrew the strongest backlifter of all time. Joe's furiously writing that note down in his book. He will use that in a future game against the Reds, I'm sure.
Boy, this guy reminds me a lot of Harry Hochkrug.
Just short. Cozart's got it. And that takes care of Garcia. 1 down.
Just loaded with information tonight. It's
I'm
amazing
loaded.
where your jogging takes you.
I'm loaded with a lot, aren't I? Actually, that's
4,000 pounds. I
Yeah.
mean, that's more than a car by quite a bit.
Well, you said last night people are getting bigger, so that's.
You look like a large gent.
Yes. Freddie Freeman lined out to left his first time. And the over the Rhine area. Let's be honest, a few short years ago, that wasn't the best place to go visit. And we all know the civic troubles they have had in years past here in Cincinnati. That has really changed. This downtown area with this ballpark and the shops and restaurants and condos right on the riverfront, it is absolutely beautiful now.
It's really cool how they've connected the football and the baseball stadium with all those nice places you're talking about.
A lot of parkland, soccer fields, just green space really is what it is. People are out all day today on this gorgeous afternoon. As Votto, great play, sliding to his left. Lead to the bag. Nice play by Joey Votto to rob Freddie Freeman. There's the second out.
The way this is going and as hard as these balls are hit, I think the Reds may want to get all the married men off the infield. Nice play by Votto. It's 2 extra base hits he's taken away already.
Nick Markakis scored the first Braves run after he led off the second with a hit. And downstairs. And the over the Rhine area. That's where Pete Rose grew up. That whole area has been regentrified, I guess, the way you put it. With shops and hotels and restaurants, local breweries and the like. So downtown Cincinnati has really become a very, very pleasant place to visit.
Where is that in relation to the hill? Is that part of the hill?
Mount Adams,
area?
you mean?
Yeah.
Back to the mound. Markakis will be retired, and that will take care of Atlanta in the third. We'll tell you all about over the Rhine and Mount Adams and some of the other great spots here in Cincinnati. You see a beautiful view from above. Great American Ballpark.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well, let's see which offense will barge through in a tie game after 2.5. So Terrell Jenkins back to work. He's got Hamilton, Votto, and Jay Bruce coming up. Hamilton lined out to right. You want him to hit the ball in the air if you can make him do it. Corner infielders in on the grass. As that missed inside for an even count. Don't want to walk him. 3-1. Another fly ball. This one's going to be caught by Inciarte in left center. Nice comeback for Terrell Jenkins.
Just watching Ender go after that fly ball. He does so many things right, does so many things well from an outfield fundamental standpoint. You've heard the term about an outfielder drifting on balls. It's like kind of drifts to a point and gets to that spot where the ball's coming down at the same time. Ender does his best, like on that one, to bust over to that spot and then be camped there waiting on the ball to come down.
Votto walked in the first and scored ahead of Jay Bruce's home run. Nice pitch.
Good change.
He was mad after that first pitch missed the strike zone. He knows you can't keep pitching behind in the count. He fell behind 3-1 to Hamilton, but got a fly out. Ball 4. Just high. So Votto walks for a second time. And here is this fearsome 3-4-5 trio sported by the Reds.
All of them with great production. Homers, RBIs. Batting average may not be where, especially for Joey Votto, where he would like it to be. But the other guys are making hay when they get guys on base.
Ground ball would be nice right here. Bruce has hit into 9 double plays. That's second most on the team for Cincy. An opposite field home run with 2 outs in the first. Scored the first runs for the Reds.
Needs a good pitch right here. Get it even. Then he can go to something off speed again and get Bruce to get himself out. Good breaking ball.
Bottom dropped out of that. And Bruce swung over the top. Now Jenkins has a 2-2 pitch to make.
By using that pitch, he can go back to his fastball and try to bust him inside if he wants. And throw to first instead. Let's see. They've got options. Let's see what they do.
Swing and a miss. Bruce didn't get it. A breaking ball takes care of the Reds right fielder. Nice pitch. Second strikeout, 2 outs.
Doubled up on the same pitch. He got him to swing and miss on 2-1. Off the plate a little bit. Backdoor breaking ball. Couldn't reach it.
Isn't that a good lesson, though, for the Braves' young pitchers? You don't have to throw a strike to get one.
I think it's a great point.
So a couple of good pitches back-to-back for Jenkins.
Especially with this team that wants to swing.
Duvall walked and was forced out at second, and the Reds first.
The scouting report on Duvall, even with his 23 homers, is that he still has trouble with the slider. He doesn't see it well, doesn't read it well.
Oh, up and in. And Duvall couldn't get out of the way. He's drilled. And the Reds will have 2 on with 2 outs now.
Checking under his jersey sleeve like it hit him in the bicep. And it did. Bicep and right on his Cincinnati Red logo.
Third time Duvall's been hit by a pitch. And that's the first hit batsman for Tyrell Jenkins. Phillips bounced out to third. In the opening inning, he's 0 for 1. And Recker another fine stop.
Outstanding. What Anthony shows you is that on a lot of these pitches in the dirt, he's not trying to catch them. He's trying to just block it, keep it in front of him, and control it.
Phillips didn't like that pitch, but it was called a strike.
You can understand why, looking at Fox Tracks. Real inconsistent strike zone tonight. Tyrell was due a call somewhere along the line.
Little tapper, and Jenkins gloves, and he will apply the tag. Brandon Phillips with a high five as he stopped at the first base line, and Jenkins strands a pair of Reds in inning number 3.
Back in 1938, that opening an ice cream store and a pair of trolley cars would be the start of a family business that would carry through generations and start family traditions that have touched the lives of many Cincinnatians as they return, Joe, year after year for that silky smooth taste of a Puts Creamy Whip.
Looks mighty fine. I wonder if they have dip cones.
I don't know. I wish our cameraman Sean Farnham would have brought us a few samples. We could have given a ringing endorsement for the ice cream treats.
Looks good.
Does look good. 2-2 game after 3 with Jeff Francoeur leading off.
How long have they been in business?
Says tonight since 1938.
We could have sent Drew Jenkins over there and put him out of business in 5 minutes.
Popped up down the right field line. Bruce, a long run, still chugging near the stands. Hops and reaches up, makes the play to take care of Jeff. One away.
Well, you got to know your own ballpark, and he certainly does here as he timed that perfectly at the rail. Again, we've been talking a lot about his offense. He's a good right fielder, too.
Ender Inciarte reached on the Suarez error in the second and scored from second when Jay Bruce dropped the baseball after Ibar's single. And he's moved off the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. Out of the way. Inciarte's trying to wait him out.
You know, this guy, like Paul said, this guy's got good stuff. He's got a good arm. Certainly throws hard enough. They do some mechanical tweaks on him, get his arm up a little bit, that will help. But seriously, to be taken serious as a major league pitcher, you got to ditch that stuff. You know, goggles, okay. If he's going to pitch the goggles, okay. But, you know, take the dorkies off, croakies off, and if you're going for a nerd look, he's highly successful because he's really got a good arm.
Here's Recker, man aboard, 1 out. The guys that can throw like this from the left side are awfully valuable. He's kept the ball in the park to this point. He's issued 2 walks, a couple of strikeouts.
I'm just wondering what former Reds manager Lou Piniella might have had to say about
Son. A strike. Well, I'll tell you this. If Reed went out and won 15 games, he'd let him walk out with the Nuke LaLoosh Garter belt if that's what it took.
Yeah, you're right. Till then.
Yeah. Reed and Jenkins both looking for their first wins tonight. They're tied 2-2 after 3. And time called.
He's only walked one, but he has been conveniently wild. Everybody's got to hang loose because it doesn't appear he is quite sure where it's going.
One ball, one strike. Driven to right. Bruce retreats and makes the play. There's the second out.
Well, guys, you got to let me take a swat at this horse. Chip, you said Nuke LaLoosh. And I was kind of thinking, didn't Crash Davis say, hey, you got to get 10 years in the big leagues before you do something like that? Then you're colorful. But if you do it in your rookie year, they kind of look at you like the prima donna.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So I'm with you guys.
Well, and again, the odd part of it is he doesn't wear glasses unless he's pitching.
That's the thing. When you started telling that part of it, it's like, okay, I'm getting this whole scene now. It's dig me.
Well, and you have to take off bracelets and chains and certain things that are a distraction. I'm surprised that he's allowed to wear that because it's swinging all over the place. And
yeah.
Hitters can be kind of sensitive at times. So
I can't believe it doesn't drive him crazy, Paul.
I agree there, too.
No balls with a strike. I mean, I don't have a problem with the glasses. But why not just
if they're functional?
Well, but why not, if you're going to do this, why not just cut that lanyard off?
Yeah.
I mean,
Terrell's doing just fine with his.
Yeah. Paul's doing just fine without the Crokies.
Yeah, look at Paul. Yeah.
Mild-mannered Clark Kent down there in the Braves dugout. Paul Bird tonight. No balls, 2 strikes. That can't be any worse than, was it Cueto or Edinson Volquez that had the long dreadlocks?
Both.
It was both. You're right. Can't think that this is any more distracting than that. Foul ball left side. Runner goes. It is fouled at the plate. And Inciarte heads back to first. Ibar with his 3rd hit in his last 31 at bats. Plated 2 runs. He was credited with 1 RBI. The Bruce error scored Inciarte. Both runs allowed by Cody Reed tonight are unearned. Again, the runner goes. Pitch low. The throw to second is backhanded by Phillips and in center field, but Inciarte can't move up. And so Ender steals his 10th base, and a hit means a run.
Cabrera had to throw over the top of Ibar too, who was ducking and diving to get out of the way. Ender had that one stolen. Good jump. And the throw off the mark, obviously.
50th career steal for Inciarte. And now a full count. Bouncing ball up the middle. It'll be Phillips with a bare hand. Bad throw. It pulled Votto off the bag. Cozart was there too. It was Phillips that made the play. And Ibar outruns the baseball, and the inning continues for Terrell Jenkins. That'll be an infield hit.
Good for Eric. He needs all the hits he can get right now. Phillips having to throw across his body. has it tail away from the bag, and a good call over there by Angel Hernandez right on top of it.
So Ibar at 2 for 2 night. And at the very least, the Braves clear Terrell Jenkins here. Ground ball to second. Phillips has this one. And the throw to first is in time. We told you all about the famous Cincinnatians. Who can forget the famous Lily von Stuck? A Wedwozy. How of we? 2-2 game. We head to the home fourth.
Greater coverage of baseball. And guys, we know about Swanson Albies, Colby Allard, but somebody we may not know is A.J. Minter. You look at those numbers, incredible. What's not even on the board is in 21 2/3, he's only given up 6 hits. You see the 30 strikeouts there. Guys, this guy's the real deal out of Texas A&M. He was a 75th pick. Braves would have loved him in the first round, but he had Tommy John in March of 2015. Here's what I like about him. We talked about velocity earlier. This guy throws a 97-mile-an-hour natural cutter from the left side, and he's got control. You saw the 5 walks, incredible whip. This guy's the real deal. Talking to Coppy, we could see him before the year's out, and even possibly very soon. So great job coming back from Tommy John surgery. Another Braves prospect will be following, left-handed pitcher A.J. Minter. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Bertie. That's good stuff. And A.J. Minter was projected as a surefire first-round pick, maybe top 10 pick out of Texas A&M before he had to have Tommy John surgery before the 15 draft. And credit the Braves for taking a chance on yet another guy who they were hoping would come back from the surgery bigger and better than ever. And he has really put some numbers on the board.
The Braves got him, well, they got his draft spot in a deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Victor Reyes was an outfielder who went to Arizona. The Braves got the 75th overall pick, which turned out to be Minter. Draft. So yeah, Paul, great report. Love hearing about more of these Braves farmhands making their way closer and closer to the big leagues.
Which was today rated the #1 farm system in baseball by ESPN.
Up and away to a Eugenio Suarez, who doubled his first time up. Terrell could use an easy inning. He has not had a 1-2-3 frame yet. He's got the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up. Another full count. We'll do it again. Nationals are home tonight. They're getting beat by the Dodgers 4-0. That's Scott Kazmir and Reynaldo Lopez, who's debuting for the Nationals tonight. They did not use Lucas Giolito tonight, interestingly. But Lopez gets a spot start. Wonder if he's being showcased for a potential trade. There are rumors that the Nationals are in the Aroldis Chapman, Andrew Miller hunt, as well as a search for another outfielder. Sharply hit and into left field. Suarez is 2 for 2.
That slide step didn't work out so well. But again, was ahead in the count, worked to a full count, and had to throw a better strike. Suarez hit a double his last time up on a pitch up and out over the plate. This time he turns on one for a single. Let's get one of those ground balls, one of those Jenkins ground balls. Turn 2.
I've got Terrell with 5 ground ball outs tonight. He struck out 2. Reds hit in the 4th. 1 on, nobody out. And he got the inside corner call. Cincinnati playing shorthanded behind the plate. Devin Mesoraco earlier this week had hip labrum surgery. He is out for the year. And unfortunately for the Reds, he has been an injury-riddled player. He's had his 3rd surgery since coming to Cincinnati and has started 18 games in the last 2 years. We're hoping he'll be ready to go next spring. This one's hit towards center and playable for Ender. There's the first out. The hip labrum surgery is becoming a much more common procedure. Guys like Alex Rodriguez have had it. The one difference is, I don't know the catcher that's had it. And I'm sure the Reds are wondering how Mesoraco will come back from that surgery with all the squatting a catcher has to do. It's not like he's going to play first base here. That position's blocked. Joey Votto.
Not for like the next 15 years. Votto's contract expires.
Here's Reed. He struck out his first time up. And a bunt. Hard to third. Adonis is going to second. Got the lead runner. Throw to first is not in time.
More good defense from Adonis Garcia. Quick decision. I couldn't hear Recker if he was yelling second or not, but it was a good choice to get the lead runner. Plant and throw.
So the Braves will take that trade all night long. They'll make the pitcher run with 2 outs. They get the lead runner at second, and that'll bring up Cozart, who's grounded out to short twice. Little pop. And Beckham backpedals. He'll make the play, and Terrell Jenkins works around a leadoff hit. Top of the order coming up for the Braves. Still tied 2 apiece in Game 2 in Cincy.
Like the Guns of Navarone here in Cincinnati. Little quieter night at the Great American Ballpark as you see one of Cincinnati's finest culinary traditions, Cincinnati chili.
That's a five-way right there. My pal, Dr. Todd Mulliken, an Ohio native, is always talking about how he absolutely wants to go five-way on the Skyline chili. I said, so you're really sure about it? Absolutely. There's no absolute five-way, meaning a little absolute on there too, I think.
Well, you might need that. You know what some of the ingredients are in that stuff? Are you a chili fan? Forget the Cincinnati. You like chili, right?
Oh, yeah, I love chili.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Cinnamon, chocolate, and mock turtle soup are three of the Cincinnati chili ingredients.
Well, Todd prefers his to be mock snapping turtle soup, but you just gotta know him. Anyway.
I guess
five-way, man.
Yeah.
That's for that night you don't really want to sleep, isn't it?
Or talk to your friends. Fly ball to right. Bruce going back. That ball's going to carry out to the track. And Gordon Beckham's retired to start the fifth.
We had a place like that in Norman on the campus. It's kind of like the end of the night where you go to kind of straighten up. It was called Dinko's, and it was right by the railroad tracks. And everybody would go there and get a Dinko Darlin.
Really?
Yep. And that was goulash. And so greasy you had to tilt the plate to try to drain some of the grease off. But you could get one or two looking at you, which was a fried egg on top of it. So you get a Darlin with two looking at you.
Interesting. Here's Garcia. And a roller. Yeah, I mean, talk to anybody from
that same
Cincinnati.
effect as a five-way, but it was big.
One ball, one strike. Now, folks around these parts get a little sensitive if you come to town and start knocking the chili.
Oh, no. Like I said, I like chili.
But it's like Georgia Tech. I mean, this is a huge rivalry. Do you like the Skyline or the Gold Star? As this one's hit toward right again. Bruce to the edge of the track this time. And there's the second out. So let's take a quick poll in the booth. Zach, you like Gold Star or Skyline? Skyline. Dixie? Oh, there's a third. There's Dixie. Oh my gosh, that's like Kennesaw State, Georgia, and Georgia Tech. Which chili do you like the best? Oh, Skyline 2-1 over Dixie. Nobody said Gold Star. Yep, sorry about that. Maybe some of our intrepid booth assistants could stop at the chili parlors and bring us some before the game tomorrow.
It's a long flight to Denver, buddy.
Two outs for Freddie Freeman, who's lined out and bounced out tonight. Reed and Jenkins dueling through 4 innings. Tied up. And that pitch was at a perfect spot.
Both pitches have calmed down in terms of the rockets that were being hit earlier.
Yes, they have. Nothing doing for Atlanta in the 5th inning. What a shot.
We know you like to try the ballpark food. It's a shame you're not here to try the chili. But maybe next time we head to the Queen City. As Tyrell Jenkins goes back to work.
As she likes to say, where there's food, there's calcium.
Yeah. Billy Hamilton leads off. He's hitting second on the lineup card again tonight. He's 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts. That Cubs-Mets game, a beauty. Syndergaard versus Arrieta in Chicago. Cubs won 5-1 yesterday. And that one is just foul. Good thing. That would have been at least 2 and probably 3 for Hamilton. I recall when Dusty Baker was the manager here, he brought Billy Hamilton up for the final few weeks of the 2013 season, I believe it was, and he was a rookie. By the time the season was over, Billy Hamilton led the National League rookies with 13 stolen bases in 13 games. Back to the mound and to throw to first. He maintained his rookie status in 2014 and stole 56 bases. That's kind of rare. Your first 2 seasons to be qualified as a rookie and to lead qualifying rookies 2 years in a row in an offensive category is something Billy Hamilton did.
Well, those stolen base numbers you told us all about last night from the minor leagues, where he had more stolen bases than games played. That's just unheard of.
But you can't steal first, and he's not been able to reach tonight. Here's Votto. And a liner foul into the seats. Strike 1 to the Cincy first baseman, who's had a very good defensive game tonight at first base. Marlins and Phillies are playing in Citizens Bank Park tonight. That one's tied 1-1 in the 6th. Miami won in 11 last night, and they were trailing 2-0 after 8. They won their first game in 40 tries when trailing after 8 innings this year. The game was won on a Martin Prado homer in the 11th inning. And that's a big win for Miami. They are 1 game ahead for the second wild card spot in the National League. They'd be much closer to first place were it not for the Braves, who've clobbered them most of the year.
Joey Votto is signed through 2024 at anywhere from 20 to 25,000 a year, 25 million a year. They just hope he's standing on 2 feet by 2024.
Well, he'll be 40-something, won't he be by then? Full count. And Jenkins just missed the corner. He's grazed the edge twice on Joey Votto in at-bat deciding pitches and hasn't gotten the call.
Yeah, and even beyond Joey Votto, he's been on the corners tonight and hasn't gotten any calls. He got 1 call on Brandon Phillips that was probably 2 or 3 inches out of the zone high. That ball was tailing away toward the corner, but boy, he's gotten 0.
And I mean, he's missing by millimeters, not by 2-3 widths of the baseball. And that very tight zone has earned him 9 3-ball counts. There's 1, there's 2. Jay Bruce is retired, and no harm comes of the walk to Joey Votto. The Braves turn a 3-6-3 double play. We go to the 6th. Jenkins has pitched 5 innings in the bigs for the first time. Summary, Joe, I think you summed it up really well an inning ago or so. You said both Reed and Jenkins have begun to settle down in tonight's ball game.
Yeah, they're not overthrowing. Terrell's still behind in some counts, but much better than the rough first inning he had, where he gave up the walk and the 2-run homer to Bruce. Eric Ibar also off the schneid a little bit. He was 2 for his last 30. He's got 2 hits tonight and an RBI to contribute.
So the Braves faithful here in Cincinnati hope to see Nick Markakis lead off the 6th with a hit. He's done that once tonight and has scored the first of 2 Braves runs. And that's in for a strike. To the right side. Who wants it? Votto will flip to the pitcher covering. Votto cut off Brandon Phillips to make that play. And Markakis rolls out for the first out here in the top of the 6th. And here's Francoeur. No balls at a strike. Giants are playing in Boston tonight. That's a rare interleague matchup. It's only the 4th time that the Giants have played at Fenway Park. And it's a foul ball at third. The only other time that the Giants franchise has played at Fenway Park was the 1912 World Series.
Seriously? After all this interleague play?
Yep.
Wow.
And Jake Peavy, making an emotional return to Boston, is on the hill for the Giants. Rick Porcello, who's undefeated at home this year for Boston, has the ball for the Red Sox.
Yeah, he's really come back strong.
They're a game and a half behind Baltimore. Toronto is 2.5 back in the American League's East. And Reed got Francoeur to chase a fastball up and out of the zone. That's his 4th strikeout. He set down 6 straight. 2 quick outs here in the top of the 6th. And Ender Inciarte's reached twice. Once on an error, once on a walk. He's stolen a base and has scored. Ender's average is around 300 over his last 8 games played. And he just missed a double. That's our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot.
7 of his last 8 ball games. That on base percentage outstanding. That's what the Braves want from Ender. Get on base and use those wheels.
Deep short. Cozart diving stop. Can't unload. It's stuck in his glove. He showed some terrific range, and like all the good ones, he thought he had a play but could not grab the baseball cleanly, and it's an infield hit.
Too much weight going forward, trying to get up on his knees to throw. Not sure he had a play. Ender already with a stolen base tonight. Might try to make it 2.
Time called. His record does a little housekeeping in the right-hand batter's box. took a little off and got a strike. Mauricio Cabrera's up and throwing. He opened some eyes with some triple-digit fastballs last night. He had one clocked at 103.8 officially. Last night was fastball night. Aroldis Chapman hit 105.1 for the Yankees. Record didn't get it. 2-2.
Took a little off on that one. One of the few times we've seen him do that tonight. Scouting report said he had a changeup, but he hasn't thrown it much.
Not a bad idea to keep that in the quiver until the middle innings. Something else for the hitters to think about here in the top of the 6th. 2-2. Didn't get the inside corner. Swing and a miss. Recker was tied up. That was a disappearing slider. 5 strikeouts for Cody Reed. He's through 6 in a tie game. Buy tickets to any remaining home game this year and get a limited edition Chipper Jones jersey shirt while supplies last. Go to Braves.com/Chipper and secure your tickets and jersey shirt today. And if you did not hear the news last night, Joe and I talked about it at length in the 8th inning. Adam LaRoche, Chipper Jones, Tim Hudson, and a whole host of former Atlanta Braves and other major leaguers are going to be taking part in the NBC baseball tournament in Kansas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Wichita, National Baseball Congress. The Kansas Stars. They will pack Lawrence Dumont Stadium for a look at those guys. I think it's hilarious, and I think they will have a lot of fun.
Can you imagine the liniment sales after that game?
The whole stadium's going to smell like Kramer Gesick.
Tyrell about to make his 90th pitch. This one to Adam Duvall. And he is pitching now. 4 walks for Jenkins. He's had 9 3-ball counts. He gave up the home run to Bruce in the first, but
Since then, the Reds have only had 2 runners get as far as second base in the game.
If I were going to work at that tournament in Wichita, I'd want the Advil concession. I'd just walk through the dugout.
Oh,
get your Advil here.
Be a millionaire.
Oh, couldn't keep it in the bin.
Fly ball center, pretty well hit. And they're going back, checks the wall, and onto the track he goes and has room. Duvall flies out.
Isn't it interesting that there are balls hit in this ballpark that don't even sound good, and you just think they're probably high in a routine fly ball, and all of a sudden the outfielders are just running for all they're worth.
Yeah, it really is a defensive team. They hit it in the air and you catch your breath.
Yeah.
You have no idea. That one sounded like it was off the end of the bat. Duvall is 0 for 1. Here's Brandon Phillips. He's 0 for 2. He's got a 7-game hit streak on the line tonight. And he swings at the first pitch. That's skied over the Reds dugout. And no play. We are in the Cincinnati 6th.
And in the top of the second inning, if you'd have told me it was going to be a 2-2 game at this point, I'd have called you crazy.
Another pop up right side. Wrecker over near the rail. It bounces atop the dugout. Every out that Tyrell Jenkins gets from this point forward is a new major league high as a starter. He's pitched 4 innings in relief. His previous high was 4 2/3 as a starter in his last outing against the Phillies. Whatever rust he had in the early innings, Joe, it looks like some of that has really been worked off here in the last 2-3 innings.
Agreed. He had to work hard. It was hot, worked up a big lather, but he got loose. Still not getting any calls, but he's hitting spots.
That was a foul ball, and for Brandon Phillips, an all too familiar scene. Jose Fernandez hit him on the left hand in a game against the Marlins, and Phillips is playing with a fracture on that left hand. That was a close call.
Jose Fernandez right off the top of his hand, hairline fracture. Continued to play right up till Friday night when he strained a calf muscle and had to sit out Friday, the rest of Friday, and all day Saturday and Sunday.
Another shot toward center. Inciarte on the run, won't get this one. That's going to bounce over the fence. Brandon Phillips has a ground rule double with 1 out.
Ball still jumps off his bat, doesn't it?
Sure does. He went down and got it, almost finished on his right knee.
Yeah, a lot of the weight still on his front foot, trying to take some pressure off his right calf.
Beautiful moonrise. And it is a full moon in Cincinnati. Gorgeous. Here's Suarez, 2 for 2, a double and a single. And he had been slumping until the Braves came to town. Home run last night, 2 hits tonight. His first day after celebrating his 25th birthday yesterday. Tyrell Jenkins will be 24 tomorrow. And Wrecker with a nice stop. He has been terrific behind the plate. For a young pitcher trying to find his command of the strike zone, what a luxury it is to know he can throw a ball in the dirt and his catcher's going to stop it.
He can use everything in his arsenal.
Bouncer beyond the Braves dugout, left side, foul.
Serving Cabrera. That last pitch, a changeup, not one of Terrell's better changeups tonight. And as he approaches 100 pitches, might be getting low on octane.
Pickoff play at second. And Eugenio Suarez, a former shortstop in the Tigers organization.
And Phillips picking up dirt clouds out there, throwing them at Beckham. Get out of here.
2-1 pitch. And now 3-1. That's, I think, the 10th 3-ball count for Jenkins tonight. That's why his pitch count's at 100 here in the 6th.
Switch hitter on deck.
Off the foot of the Reds' third baseman. Now it's 3-2.
He's trying to pull. That's pretty obvious. The ones he's pulled over near the Braves dugout have both been change-ups. Trying to roll over them. Might be a little tender to take his stride and try to cover a slider down and away. Let's see what they throw him. You know, we get those close-ups of Terrell, and it goes to what I talked about early in the game, before the game, with you, Chip, and Paul, and that is, it's not an ounce of stress on his face that he shows. You know, go ahead, run at second base and 1 out, full count.
Phillips is going to try to take third. Ground ball back to the mound, boxed, but no panic. He got his man. 2 outs. Phillips 90 feet away for the Reds. Suarez the second out, and now the Reds catcher is coming up.
That's the 4th comebacker tonight for Tapper, and one that he turned into one unassisted when he tagged Phillips earlier tonight.
So you would think, or could think, well, we walk the 8th place hitter here, then you've got the pitcher spot. But Reed's up there in pitches as well. The Reds have Ivan De Jesus Jr. in the on deck circle.
Another good changeup.
Cabrera hit one of those comebackers Joe mentioned his first time up. He's also flied out to center. And that's taken low. Don't forget, Terrell Jenkins was a starting pitcher much of the time down in Gwinnett. He was 4-3, a sub-3 earned run average, struck out 39 men in almost 52 innings. The Braves felt the quickest way to get him to the big leagues was by moving him to the bullpen. That proved to be true, and with all the injuries Atlanta has had, Jenkins has been placed in rotation, and tonight making his second big league start. And that one just fouled at third. I mean, by inches. That was close. Whew.
Big Ted right there. Had a little slice on it. Missed the bag as it went by.
The 2-2 is back up the middle. Ibar's got it. 360 spin. Perfect throw, and the big tall Texan gets out of it in the 6th. Brandon Phillips left stranded at third base. Tyrell Jenkins is through 6, tied at 2. With the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet. With Joe Simpson and Paul Bird, Chip Carey. Welcome back to Cincinnati. Just a few minutes past 9 o'clock. Tyrell Jenkins and Cody Reed squared off through 6 innings of 2-2 baseball tonight. 6 innings, a new career high for Jenkins. Reed is taken down after 6 innings of 5-hit, 2-run, 0 earned run baseball tonight. And now Michael Lorenzen is on for his 8th outing.
I think both sides are going to be very pleased with the efforts of their 2 young starting pitchers. But the game now goes into the hands of at least the Reds bullpen. Michael Lorenzen in his 8th game. High 90s fastball and features a cutter off of that, a slider, and then a curveball and a changeup at times too. He's got them all.
And one reason why the Reds are playing a whole lot better is their relief corps has finally settled down. It was a nightmare the first 2.5 months of the season. But since Lorenzen's season debut on June 24th, the entire bullpen ERA has been lowered by almost 3/4 of a run.
Yeah, they in their last 9 games, more recently, a 1.15 ERA and 30 strikeouts in 31 1/3 innings. Vast improvement.
And so that's what makes this Reds team in the second half of the season, I think, so intriguing. We certainly didn't see the best their pitching staff had to offer. Their offense had to carry the club. Well, if they keep the offense intact, they get Homer Bailey back. This bullpen continues to pitch like it's pitching. The Reds can certainly have a say in who wins the Central and who does or doesn't go to the playoffs. But a good start for Atlanta as Ibar reaches for a 3rd time, this time on a leadoff walk to start the 7th inning.
Jace Peterson will pinch hit for Tyrell.
Can't be happier for Tyrell Jenkins tonight. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, a couple of strikeouts, and a homer. And he worked around 10 3-ball counts in those 6 innings. That's whistled into seats by Jace Peterson. He's looking for his first pinch hit of the year. But the Braves roll the dice and do some running here. Probably not on an 0-2 count. But now it's 1-2. Two balls, two strikes.
Lorenzen throws hard and again uses that slider a lot. Jace a good fastball hitter. If he makes a mistake with the fastball or the cutter trying to run it in on his hands, he might pay for it because Jace could turn on it and pull it through the hole.
Not that time though. Nasty pitch takes care of Jace Peterson. That's Lorenzen's first strikeout. We go back to the top of the order.
And that was something down and kind of going the other way.
Fly ball to left by Beckham. That ball is hit deep. That ball is gone. Gordon Beckham hits a two-run homer.
He snaps out of it tonight. He was 0 for 16 until a single in the first, a couple of flyouts since, and now a two-run homer that makes Tyrell Jenkins a pitcher of record. His first big league win. Hanging slider.
A walk, a strikeout, and a Beckham homer gives Atlanta a 4-2 lead. Brandon Phillips a step to his right will throw out Garcia. And that was no cheapie by Beckham. 396 feet. His fourth of the year. And now Freddie Freeman, the hitter.
You know, hopefully that's a good sign for Gordon, because as we keep saying, he was on fire before he strained that hamstring for the second time. A walk and a homer was the tonic for the Reds in the first inning, and a walk and a homer for the Braves here in the seventh.
Lorenzen was a starting pitcher for the Reds most of the year last year, and home runs were a big part of his problem. He threw 113 innings last year and gave up 18 homers.
Wow.
And Beckham's blast puts Atlanta in front. Follow at first. He'll flip to the pitcher covering, and that retires the side. The Braves cash in a leadoff walk and a 396-foot home run to left by the former Georgia Bulldog star Gordon Beckham. That makes Tyrell Jenkins a potential winner tonight. We stretch in Cincy. 4-2 Atlanta.
Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Back in Cincinnati, the home of the oldest professional Major League franchise, Gordon Beckham has hit a 2-run homer.
Yeah, let's look at that replay again and look at the point of contact. Look where he catches that ball out front. What a difference it makes when you can get full extension, great bat speed, and catch that ball out in front. It will go a long way.
So that'll bring Dario Alvarez into the ball game. He'll face the 9, 1, and 2 hitters for Cincinnati. Tyler Holt is going to pinch hit for Michael Lorenzen here.
Yeah, that's no misprint there. 23 strikeouts, 11 1/3 innings, sub 200 average against him.
Alvarez only has an 18.3 strikeout per 9 innings rate this year. And struck out 9 straight batters July 2nd to July 7th. The Atlanta franchise record. Previous mark was 7 straight hitters struck out by Julio Teheran in 2013. Don't want to walk Holt. Not in this ballpark. And Tyler fouled it straight back. Braves bullpen in July. 2 wins, 3 losses, a .380 earned run average. They have saved 2 of 6 opportunities. 21 walks in 42 2/3 innings collectively. And out of play, right side by Holt, 2-2 your count. In fact, starting in April, the Braves pen ERA 5.10. In May it was 3.91. In June it was 3.88, 3.80 in July. So month by month, little by little, Braves bullpen has been more and more effective. And Dario Alvarez has had a big hand in that. Two and 2 for Holt.
I was talking to Terry Collins about Alvarez when we were last in New York, and he said, you know, we liked Alvarez, but he would put up these good numbers in the minor leagues. We'd call him up and we'd hear that he was throwing 94, 95, and we'd see 91, 92. His fastball wasn't the same as what the scouting reports were on him, and his slider wasn't near as effective at the big league level, and they never could figure out why. Well, he's been very effective here. Braves are happy to have him.
And his trouble with the big league club in New York was well documented. So was his trouble at Las Vegas. When the Mets released him on May 25th, or waived him, I should say, he had a .998 earned run average in 17 games. That's not the guy that's wearing a Braves uniform.
Yeah, that's hard to figure, isn't it?
Holt chased ball 4 and wasn't happy about that. Alvarez strikes out the leadoff man for Cincy. 1 down.
Boy, that was a big help. We saw what happened when the Braves got a leadoff walk in the 7th.
Here's Zach Cozart. He is 0 for 3. Reds are just happy this guy's healthy. Last year, Cozart tore up his knee and played 53 games for the Reds, had 9 homers and 28 RBIs before getting hurt. When he went down, Suarez became their starting shortstop.
Couple of good sliders.
Two quick strikes. He did not swing. It's 1-2. Cozart was part of Baseball America's 2012 All-Rookie team. How'd you like to go to battle with this group? Anthony Rizzo, Todd Frazier, Zach Cozart, Cespedes, Trout, Harper, Yu Darvish, Wade Miley, Kelvin Herrera, all part of that first-year club.
Pretty good group.
And Alvarez didn't get the corner. That has not been called all night. But if you're consistent, nobody can complain. 2-2. Let me amend that. If you're consistent, everybody can complain, but you're not going to get a whole lot of sympathy.
Yeah, you're right. But early in the game, there was a lack of consistency.
I agree. Full moon, tons of full counts tonight.
Yeah, 0-2 to 3-2.
That's down the left field line. Francoeur over near the wall will run out of room. And Cozart will dig back in. Reds got two in the first on a Jay Bruce homer into the Cincinnati bullpen. Atlanta struck in the second. An Eric Ibar base hit after the Reds committed two errors. Brought in Nick Markakis, and then Ender Inciarte scored when Jay Bruce dropped the ball in right field. Both of those runs were unearned against Cody Reed. Then Michael Lorenzen gave up the Beckham two-run homer. To short. Big hop for Ibar. High throw, but Freddie stretches out to make the play. 2 outs. And even with 2 outs, this man becomes the key man in the inning. Don't want Hamilton to reach to bring Votto and company up representing the tying run.
Exactly. He'll be batting right-handed. Talked about him last night. His numbers left-handed, right-handed are about the same. Nothing really to write home about average-wise. 246 right-handed, 245 left-handed. On-base percentage very similar, below 300. That make him hit his way on.
Infield pinches in at the corners. Swing and a miss at 95-mile-an-hour heat. Blake Wood and Jumbo Diaz up in the Cincinnati pen. He's a strike away from sending it to the 8th.
Good target from Anthony Recker. Slider. He wasn't trying to get him to hit a spot, hit a corner. He just set up right in the middle of the plate, gave him a good target to throw at. And it went down and in. Far enough.
Two balls, two strikes. And a swing and a miss takes care of Hamilton. Dario Alvarez continues his terrific strikeout work. He has a pair in the 7th. And we go to the 8th with the Braves in front.
Or 2 in the top of the 8th, and just in case any of you were wondering why the Braves scored some runs last inning, it was the Coney Dog rally.
Was it?
Yes, it was. So I went down, and we've got some 4-way, could have been 5-way, but we were out of spaghetti. So these are the low-carb versions.
Wow.
We got some chili,
Thanks,
a whole lot
Paul.
of cheese. Cabrera's not the only one slinging cheese at this park.
Yeah.
Skyline chili thrown all around. We got mustard. I don't know how you like your dog, Joe, but I thought it was mustard and ketchup. I think if we eat a couple, we'll score some more runs.
Well, look, and it comes with an antacid. So that's really cool.
Some good old hot sauce for the Southern guys, just in case.
Yeah.
Wow,
Great,
Paul.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Best sideline reporter in Major League Baseball history. Joe's digging in.
Why not?
Drum roll, please.
The mic.
Yeah. Here we go.
You may not be able to talk. Thumbs up, thumbs down to the side.
Thumbs up. That's outstanding. Thanks,
There
Paul.
we go. You got it, guys.
And with how perfect that you bring us some chili, a dog, and Jumbo's on the mound.
Yeah. His real name is Jose. I'm not sure why they call him Jumbo. Actually, the tail of the tape tells you why. This is a gigantic pitcher. 6'4", listed at 278. Out of La Romana in the Dominican Republic. He's following Michael Lorenzen, who served up the Gordon Beckham home run that has the Braves in front. We're in the 8th. Little insurance wouldn't hurt.
Check Jumbo out. Like his glasses. He's just got a simple band holding his on. Doesn't need all that nonsense.
Did it bother you?
Professional looking.
Did it bother you if a pitcher wore glasses?
A little bit.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Especially one that could bring it. Jumbo's in that 95 to 98 mile an hour range with a slider.
Took this man forever to get to the major leagues. And a line drive into left field starts the Braves' 8th in good fashion. A 2-hit game for Nick Markakis.
Jose Jumbo Diaz was signed by the Dodgers as a undrafted free agent way back in 2002. He didn't get to the major leagues until 2014.
No kidding. And I wonder how many times teams, coaches, minor league directors said, you know what, you get in shape, lose some weight, you got a chance to pitch in the big leagues. I bet it was constant. He's just a big guy.
Pitched in 61 games for the Reds last year. Normally very good control, just 18 walks against 70 strikeouts in those 60 innings. And as you said, good fastball. That breaking ball disappeared. And Jeff Francoeur in a deep 2-strike hole. Jeff has struck out twice. He's popped out once. And he chased that one in the left-hand batter's box. Jeff with 3 strikeouts tonight is the first out of the 8th. And Ender Inciarte is the batter. He's reached base 3 times. Once on an error, once on a walk, once on an infield hit, and he scored the second Atlanta run. Double play ball. Phillips back flips to Cozart, and he glides across the bag. And Jumbo Diaz gets out of the 8th inning. Heart of the order coming up for the Reds. Alvarez, we hope, will face Votto and Bruce, as the Reds offense has had a chilly time of it. They've only scored twice and none since the first inning. Cincinnati, where the Braves lead the Reds 4-2 after 7.5 innings. A Gordon Beckham 7th inning home run has put Atlanta in front, and Dario Alvarez is back out there, and there's good reason why.
Yeah, this is going to be fun to watch. See how he matches up with Votto and Bruce.
Votto has not seen many strikes tonight. Terrell Jenkins walked him 3 times. quickly the Reds' first baseman's ahead in the count. Let's see his lefty-righty splits.
First two breaking balls were inside, oddly, to the left-hander. This one was away. Make it 3-0. There are his splits. Not very good against left-handers.
There's a strike. Into right center field, a base hit for Votto. Well, it's amazing tonight, all night long, the Braves have had a lot of 3-ball counts. The Reds haven't done much with them. That time Votto got a pitch to hit, and he will bring the tying run to the plate with nobody out in the 8th.
No matter how poorly a good hitter is swinging in his splits against, in this case, left-handed pitching, it evens the playing field. When he gets in a 3-1 count, you've got to throw something around the plate.
So we showed you what Votto does against lefties. How about Jay Bruce?
Yeah, I'm not sure why the first two sliders, it's probably not intentional, but the first two sliders to Votto were in. Don't want to make a mistake into this guy.
And he almost hit him. Bruce has had much better luck against lefties than Joey Votto. Ground ball first. Freeman will go to second for one. On to first, a double play. The Braves have done that before. And it was this same combination back in the 5th inning. Bruce hits into his second 3-6-3 double play. And Alvarez gets through the Votto-Bruce portion of the Reds' order.
Nice footwork there by Eric Aybar, too, on a throw that pulled him to the right field side of the bag.
So Dario Alvarez will be taken down after an inning and 2/3 of one hit ball. He did a great job. He protects the 4-2 lead as the Reds hit in the 8th.
Sponsored by your local Toyota dealers, Let's Go Places, the Georgia Lottery, and Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
Braves 4, Reds 2. Bases empty for Cincinnati. Adam Duvall is up. He'll face Chris Withrow, who's on for his 34th appearance. Braves need to get 4 outs with this lead to protect the first big league win for Tyrell Jenkins tonight. Duvall is 0 for 1. He's walked and has been hit by a pitch. And he singles on a 1-0 count. The Reds not going quietly. Second hit of the inning. Double play looking big.
They never do. Withrow was in 2 games in the Colorado series. An inning total, 3 hits and a walk. No strikeouts or runs, however. Able to pitch around it.
So here's Phillips. Brandon tonight has hit into a force play. He's grounded out to the pitcher, and he doubled with 1 out in the 6th. Cincinnati has 6 hits. 2 errors have been costly. They've left 6 on base so far.
Of his last 22 outings have been scoreless since he came back from the disabled list.
Popped him up. Gordon Beckham at second is underneath. He's got it, and we're headed to the 9th. 4-2 Atlanta. Withrow takes care of Phillips. Bottom part of the order coming up, looking for some insurance late. Final out tonight for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity. Hope to talk about Tyrell Jenkins' first big league win here at the Great American Ballpark. He leads 4-2 courtesy of a Gordon Beckham homer. When we get back home, the first 20,000 fans through the gates at Turner Field Saturday, July 30th get a 1991 worst to first NLCS replica ring. That'll be a great Braves collector's item. Go to Braves.com/promotions and get your tickets today. In the Atlanta 9th, Recker, Ibar, and then a pinch hitter for Chris Withrow. Jim Johnson is up and throwing. And the first is fouled straight back. Anthony's 0 for 2, but boy, did he do a great job of guiding Tyrell Jenkins through all those 3 ball counts. The early home run, blocked balls in the dirt.
He's had a good night without getting a base hit. Does have a walk.
That's taken low for an even count. Mets and Cubs tied 1-1 in the ninth. Marlins Phillies 1-1 in the eighth. Pirates 2-1 over the Brewers in the ninth. That's the second of 16 games head to head between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh in the second half. Fly ball right. Bruce chased back to the edge of the warning track, and he'll make the play. Keep an eye on the Pirates, by the way. They got Francisco Cervelli back, and they have a very favorable schedule in the second half. Lots of games with the Brewers, the Reds, and I hate to say it, the Braves too. And Pittsburgh trying to hang in there. The battling Buccos are 9 out.
Well, they got Garrett Cole back too, didn't they? Or he's soon to return.
Yep. Yeah, you have to consider the Pirates. I think they're 3 or 4 games back in the hunt for the second wild card. A strike to Ibar. If there was a man who needed a good offensive night, this was the man, and this was the place for him to get it, and he did. 2 hits, a walk, and a run scored for the Braves shortstop.
And an RBI.
Cozart to his left. 2 outs. And it's A.J. Pierzynski. Pinch hitting again with 2 outs in the ninth inning. Withrow goes of a third of an inning with a hit. He's the third Atlanta pitcher. The bottom 3 hitters are due up for the Reds in the ninth. That's fouled away for a strike. And the 4th Atlanta pitcher will be Jim Johnson. That's the only pitch that's gotten to the backstop for either catcher tonight. Cabrera and Recker did a terrific job. Swing and a miss.
Likely we'll see A.J. tomorrow in the day game against DeSclafani for the Reds, who is 4-0.
To the left side. And a long throw from third takes care of A.J. Pierzynski, and Jumbo Diaz did a nice job. 2 innings of scoreless relief. Bottom of the ninth, Jim Johnson will try to save Terrell Jenkins.
Mazda, Georgia Power, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
4-2 as we head to the bottom of inning number 9. Today and tomorrow only. Buy tickets for any remaining home game at Turner Field and get a limited edition Chipper Jones jersey shirt while supplies last. Go to Braves.com/Chipper and get your tickets and jersey shirt today. That should be a Jert or a Jersey.
Going to have replica ring night coming up too. Might have noticed. Time for a good save here though from Jim Johnson, his 34th game.
He's got the 7, 8, 9 men coming up. We'll hope to be able to say hail to the Chief after he saves Terrell Jenkins' first major league win. That's what's on the line here in the 9th.
Be his 3rd.
Good night for Suarez. 2 hits. Jim pumps over a strike. It's an even count. That's inside the bag and down the right field line fair. And Suarez took a big turnaround first and wisely throws out an anchor as the bounce really favored Atlanta there. And the Reds will bring the tying run to the plate with nobody out.
Yeah, he's gotten well the last 2 nights. Home run last night, big shot down the left field line, and 3 hits tonight, including a double that he hit this way earlier tonight, and this would have been extra bases had it not hit that little section of the stands that juts out. That helped Nick Markakis hold him to a single.
Ramon Cabrera is 0 for 3. Double play ball at someone would be nice. For Tucker, Barnhart is on deck. Ball 1.
We've also got Kyle Waldrop on the bench, left-handed hitter.
Little looper over third. That's going to drop in for a hit. Suarez on his way to third. Cabrera slides in at second with a double. And the Reds have the tying runs in scoring position with nobody out.
The sinker that was up and hit right off the end of the bat, cued down the line with a lot of spin. Frank Tour has to make sure that ball doesn't squib by him. That's why he's got to play it safely. Pinch runner for Cabrera.
It's former Brave farmhand Jose Peraza. So real trouble now. Here's Tucker Barnhart. Another switch hitting catcher for the Reds. And a squibber. That's going to score a run. Runner to third. 1 out. 4-3 now. Give Barnhart a pinch hit RBI. Peraza's at third base. Suarez scores. Zach Cozart's the batter.
0 for 1 in his career against Johnson.
Infield in. Cozart has not gotten the ball out of the infield tonight. Jim needs an atom ball or a strikeout. One ball, one strike.
Cozart trying to pull that ball, trying to pull that breaking ball.
That is fair and down the left field line. The game is tied. Cozart on his way to second. Francoeur's throw is going to get him. But a double down the third base line that Adonis Garcia thought was foul was ruled fair. Cozart ties it with a single, and no chance for Tyrell Jenkins to win tonight. It's 4-4 as Johnson surrenders his third hit of the inning.
Good look at it right here. Fair ball. It landed right in front of the base and went right over the top of it, and then landed in foul territory. Good play and good hustle by Francoeur to cut down what would be the winning run.
So now you've really got to bear down and get Hamilton. Because if you walk him, that might be a double. With his great speed on the base paths. He's hit the ball in the air twice, once on the ground. He has struck out. Part of his 0 for 4 night. Squibber, that's tough play. Ibar surrounds it and has no play. Infield hit for Hamilton. The fourth hit of the inning for the Reds. And now we got trouble.
Well, he's on base for the first time too, so he is antsy. And Brian Snitker is going to make a pitching change here and bring in a left-hander. To pitch to Votto, but also to hopefully hold Hamilton close.
Jim Johnson surrenders 2 runs and the lead on 4 Reds hits. Hamilton at first, 2 outs. Hunter Cervenka to face Joey Votto. In the 9th inning have come back from a 4-2 deficit. That spoils Tyrell Jenkins' bid for his first big league victory tonight. So we'll talk about that and more on Braves Live presented by Xfinity. We'll hear from Brian Snitker and the rest of the clubhouse. Paul Bird doing a great job reporting for us tonight. He'll provide that information. Joe and I will provide analysis as we wrap up game 2 of this series with the Reds tonight. Hunter Cervenka with speedy Billy Hamilton at first and slugger Joey Votto in the batter's box.
Throw over there a few times. There's no rush to have to pitch to Votto. You know, mix it up. Hold the ball a few times until the hitter calls time and steps out. And if Hamilton wants to keep edging off and he gets too far off, then maybe you got a better chance to pick him off.
Perfect on base night for Joey Votto. 3 walks and a single.
Now step off and fake a snap throw over there. Do all that, mix it up so that he's not sure what's going to come next.
The danger of that is he might lose concentration on a man who's reached base in 7 straight plate appearances and has home run power too. And they might have Hamilton picked off. Strong throw by Freeman, and they do pick him off. Hunter Cervenka takes care of Billy Hamilton.
He was just too antsy. You knew he wanted to go and was going to go. So just keep throwing over there till he decides that he's going to try to go on the first move. Looks like the Reds might appeal this. They will not.
Good call, Joe. He was antsy, and Hamilton tagged out. And Jim Johnson of the Braves will see a 10th inning.
By Jack. Presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. All season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
Well, that didn't work out the way we hoped, but the Braves still alive. We will see a 10th inning, and Atlanta will have the top of the order coming up against Tony Cingrani. There are your extra inning records. This is the 16th extra inning game played by the Braves this year. The Reds are playing their 10th.
That's got to be among the most in baseball, doesn't it?
I think so.
Astros have 12 for the next high. Left-hander Tony Cingrani, 10 out of 15 in saves, 3.29 ERA, good batting averages against.
Well, Beckham's homered once. Let's see what he can do to start the 10th.
This guy throws hard. He's got a mid-90s fastball, but his slider is like 80 to 82, and his changeup is high 80s. That was just a little bit short.
Cingrani began as a starting pitcher for the Reds. Made 11 starts in 2014, went 2-8. They moved him to the bullpen last year. 0-3, .567. And is the only lefty on their relief roster. 2014, he only made 13 starts because of left shoulder problems. An issue that plagued him again in 2015.
Well, let's see if we can get Beckham on base here, top of the order. Get him around.
Oh, what a pick by Votto. This is the kind of night that the Reds love seeing from Joey Votto. On base all the time. He's made 3 excellent defensive plays.
And he has not been playing good defense, but he sure handled an in-between hop here. Sharply hit. Good hands. That's the Joey Votto we used to know.
Adonis Garcia is 0 for 4. He's had good luck against the Reds this year. 11 hits and 27 at bats, including a couple of homers. Let's see if he can park one and give Atlanta another lead. A base hit past Suarez. So the go-ahead runs aboard in the 10th. And here's Freddie Freeman.
Adonis had 3 hits, including a homer last night. 1 for 5 tonight. He got robbed by Votto earlier tonight. Came in the game hitting .274 against lefties.
And this is a lefty that Freddie hasn't minded seeing. He's 2 for 6 against Cingrani in his career.
Freeman's hitting .321 against left-handers at the start of play tonight.
And Adonis just got picked off. Boy, Cingrani really hesitated as he lifted the right leg, looked to the plate, and Adonis was just frozen like a statue. And Brian Snitker wants to know why that wasn't a balk. He's going to come out and talk with Angel Hernandez. Watch this.
Actually, his body was leaning toward the plate, and so was the step.
And you might make the case that the tag was on the shoulder. The question is, was it applied before Adonis got the right hand of the bag? And Brian's been ejected.
Brian had a good argument because of where he stepped.
So that's the second time Brian Snitker has been ejected. Terry Pendleton is the bench coach. He'll take over the lineup card. And after a 1-out single, now there are 2 outs for Freeman. Nobody aboard. And Freddie didn't get it. Strike 1. Pickoff move is such a weapon for a left-handed pitcher, especially if there's no requirement that they throw directly to the base.
See his foot? They've got that area of the mound for the pitchers. It's a real drying agent like line there. It's like a 45-degree angle. He's right on that line, which is suspiciously close to a balk.
1 ball, 2 strikes. That is something that I personally would like to see changed. You could put a chalk line where the pitcher has to step on it or to the left of it.
They did that one year in spring training. They experimented with it.
Did they?
Years ago. And I mean many years ago. Didn't stick.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Momentum has begun to swing toward the Reds dugout. As Freddie is down on strikes. Well, he is piling them up. Freddie with 106 strikeouts, 2 tonight, and the Braves are out of luck in the 10th.
Hunter Cervenka will have Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, and Adam Duvall. Remember, Votto was in the batter's box when Hamilton was picked off, so he gets a fresh set of strikes. And the 3, 4, 5 hitters are due for Cincinnati. Crowd tonight, 23,080. Braves needed 3 outs in the 9th inning with a 4-2 lead, and the 7, 8, 9 hitters up couldn't get them. The Reds tied it on a Zach Cozart single and a Tucker Barnhart ground out.
And the really difficult part of this is knowing that the Reds get to hit last, and you don't like being in a situation where sudden death finish in this ballpark with this team.
And death is really a great way of putting it. This has been a house of horrors for the Braves. Ever since the Great American Ballpark has opened, the Braves have not fared well. They've lost 31 of 50 all-time meetings with the Reds here. Votto didn't get it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A base hit the other way by Joey Votto. He has been unbelievable at the plate tonight. 3 walks, 2 hits. He just reached out and found a hole.
Eight straight at bats he's reached against Atlanta in this series. You might remember the only out that they've recorded from him was the line shot right back at Matt Wisler that ended the 1st inning last night.
Well, Jay Bruce is hitting a 2-3-6-3 double plays. Each time Votto was the leading runner. Mauricio Cabrera is up and throwing in the Braves pen. He will come on to face Duvall, we presume. The pitch. Roller is a fair ball, and the throw is thrown away and into the Reds dugout. Freeman spun through a strike to second. That forces Votto. Bruce will reach first on the fielder's choice and second on the throwing error. And the winning run in scoring position with 1 out.
5 errors in his last 10 games for Ibar. They had a chance to get Bruce for the 3rd time tonight on a 3-6-3.
Reminds you of the Joe Torre Felix Mian story. Hitting the 4 double plays to Joe Torre. He celebrated his birthday, I believe, yesterday. And after the game, Joe Torre said, well, I couldn't have done it without Felix Mian. run at second, and they'll have to tangle with the man that hit 103, almost 104 miles an hour on the radar gun here in Cincinnati last night.
Mauricio Cabrera faced 4 batters. He did walk a man. That was the pinch hitter Holt in the 8th inning, but he also recorded a strikeout. Did not face Duvall.
He's reached 3 times himself. He singled in the 8th off Chris Withrow. Duvall, an all-star. So this is not a save situation, but it's a save the game situation, if you know what I mean. If Cabrera can get out of this, the Braves will live to see the 11th.
Bruce is not a fast base runner, but he is a good base runner.
Moderate lead at second with a 1-0 count. And time call.
Braves' best arms are in center and left. But with that short porch and right, it allows Nick Markakis to play shallow, so a sharp base hit. He's got a shot too.
1 ball, no strikes. That pitch might be a difference maker for Cabrera. I know he throws hard.
It's a really good curveball. It's a downer.
From 101 miles an hour to 81 on successive pitches.
Great spot.
Keep throwing it until they hit it. 2 in a row.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Duvall, the knock on him is that he doesn't recognize sliders. This is not a slider. That's curveball. Cabrera may call it his slider, but Duvall has trouble with that pitch.
One ball, 2 strikes. 1 on, 1 out.
.4 on the gun here.
Aroldis Chapman threw 105 last night for the Yankees. Cabrera just hit 104, but he missed with it. And now it's a 2 pitch. Time again.
But he may have missed the strike zone, but he didn't miss the target. They were trying to waste a pitch to see if he'd chase it. And actually where Recker set up, it was in the general vicinity where he delivered it off the plate. Not a bad idea ahead in the count.
And that goes to my point with Terrell Jenkins. Sometimes you can get a strike without throwing one.
Yep.
But not that time for Mauricio.
Good visit here by Anthony Recker to go out and talk to him about how they want to get this out, how they want to put him away. If you throw another fastball again, you don't have to throw a strike.
Again, the 2-2. Strike 3 right down the middle.
They got him looking for a breaking ball. He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, looking for a curveball, and got one right down Broadway for the strike. Target was away, but it caught the plate.
So Cabrera retires his first man assigned. Now Brandon Phillips, the hitter. Braves are guarding the line at third. Normal positioning up the middle. Freeman well off the line at first. And the reason for that, these right-hand hitters, they're going to swing late. Let's hope Phillips doesn't keep it right at the bag.
outfielders are moving to their left also, all except Francoeur.
Ground ball. Beckham's going to get it. And Cabrera does a heck of a job to pitch out of the 10th inning.
Well done, young man.
So he grows up a little bit here at the Great American Ballpark, and we head to the 11th.
Presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. All season long. Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side.
All right, 11th inning. What a job by Mauricio Cabrera. Strikeout and a ground out to keep Jay Bruce in scoring position and stranded. And the Braves live to see inning number 11, Joe.
I thought that was great work between Recker and Cabrera to polish off the ball. Well done.
So Atlanta will have its 4, 5, and 6 hitters coming up. Markakis, Francoeur, and Inciarte. 2 lefties. Cingrani back out for his second frame. Markakis tonight, 2 singles and 4 hits in the series. And a liner over short. A 3-hit night for Nick Markakis, and the Braves have the leadoff man aboard again.
Just sitting on that fastball too. Well done. Good start to the inning.
5 times. Sorry, Joe.
I would just say good swing because he didn't try to do too much with it. Fastball that had a lot of the plate, wasn't trying to pull it. Professional at bat right there.
5th time Atlanta's had the leadoff man aboard, and that looks like it's going to be the end of the line for Cingrani, with Jeff Francoeur lurking on the lineup card. Jeff is 0 for 4. He'll try to change that. Our game's tied at 4. The Braves have their leadoff man aboard to start inning number 11. With nobody out, double switch for Cincinnati. Ivan DeJesus Jr. comes into the game. He'll bat 8th. And batting 6th on the lineup card is Blake Wood. This is his 42nd game of the year already.
Well, he pitched last night, was really impressive. He came in with guys on base, struck out 2. He caught a break, and that Inciarte hit a line drive that Suarez speared that saved him an extra base hit. But the other 2 strikeouts of Francoeur and Recker, he was mighty impressive. High 90s fastball and a hard slider.
And that buzzed the tower of Jeff Francoeur. 1 ball, no strikes.
Jeff was talking right before the break about how he had gotten into a rut trying to pull too much. And I think he's in that again a little bit. Hopefully he'll just try to shoot one to right field or right center here off this guy who throws so hard.
He did just that. Markakis had to hold up for a moment, but he'll make 3rd. Jeff Francoeur puts Braves runners at the corners with nobody out. Perfect call, Joe. Nicely done.
Well, when he does this against right-handers, when he's not trying to pull them, he's a tough out. Drove right down through this. Nick played a little dodgeball and took off.
And Wood's got to be seen. How in the world does Jeff Francoeur hit that ball?
Yeah, that was a good pitch.
So it's all set up for Atlanta. 1st and 3rd, nobody out for Ender Inciarte. He showed bunt on a high fastball.
I love it. I love him doing that. It puts the defense on edge. Certainly brings Suarez in. It's caused all of them to shorten up.
Tried to bunt again. This time it was foul. He was still in the box when it hit him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Reds led 2-0 after 1. The Braves tied it with 2 runs in the 2nd. Braves took a 4-2 lead in the 7th on a Gordon Peckham homer. Jim Johnson allowed 2 runs on 4 hits in the 9th inning to tie the game. Now Brian Price is out to argue, thinking that Inciarte might have been out of the box when he made contact on that bunt.
He did hit the bat a 2nd time, but his back foot was still in the box.
Back-to-back hits by Markakis and Francoeur have it set up for the Braves in the 11th. And a fly ball center. That'll chase Billy Hamilton back, and that'll be plenty deep enough to bring home Nick Markakis. Francoeur is going to tag. He's going to try to take 2nd, and he's going to be out. But a sacrifice fly for Inciarte scores the 5th Atlanta run, and the Braves lead 5-4.
Good at bat. I don't know if they'll give Inciarte an RBI on that. I think the double play has to be a force play double play and not a sac fly, as that was. So that will be his 12th RBI of the year. Good at bat.
So Recker hits. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. The run that scored is charged to Tony Cingrani.
That was not good base running on Jeff's part. Tagging is okay, and you can even go a 1/3 of the way to 2nd base, but once you see that throw coming into 2nd, stop, go back.
And looking at the bottom of the inning, same as the 9th. 7, 8, 9 spots are ready for the Reds. This time it'll be Suarez, DeJesus, and Barnhart. And it looks like Cabrera is going to get the ball for the bottom of the 11th. Right off the end of the bat, but that's going to spin foul. It's 2-2. Rays fans are smiling again.
Yeah, a little chop going a minute ago.
Ground ball towards Suarez at third. He'll vacuum that up and throw to first in time to retire the side. Ender Inciarte with a sacrifice fly scores the 5th Atlanta run. 3 more outs to get. At Turner Field Saturday, July 30th, you'll get a 1991 worst to first NLCS replica ring. The Phillies will be in town. For more information, log on to Braves.com/promotions. So here we go. Bottom of the 11th inning now. And Mauricio Cabrera will try to nail this one down. He won't earn a save. He does have a chance, though, to earn a victory.
The victory is what it's all about. It would be his first big league win, too.
He'll face Suarez, who's 3 for 4 tonight. And that one nearly nailed the Cincy third baseman. He didn't like that, did he?
It kind of woke him up a little bit. Not that he needed that.
Jeremy Timbers. 1 ball, no strikes. Ian Kroll has gotten up in the bullpen, by the way. Pop fly foul into the seats. Marlins 1-2-1 over the Phillies again. Mets beat the Cubs 2-1. Chicago had them loaded in the 9th, couldn't score. Familia saved his 49th consecutive game for the Mets.
That's impressive.
Nationals lost 8-4, so New York picks up a game. Miami picks up a game in the East. And the Braves have a chance to pick up a game too. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ooh. It was off the plate. And as you said earlier, close to the glove.
And sounded good.
It sure did. Breaking ball softly hit toward right. And Markakis puts the squeeze on the first out of the 11th. Here's Ivan De Jesus Jr. This is his 10th July game. He's 6 out of 12. He's played everywhere on the infield for the Reds this year. First, second, third, and short.
Tell you what, that 100-mile-an-hour plus fastball inside on these right-handers to keep them honest does just that.
And then he dropped that pitch on him at 82. De Jesus was a former Dodger. Second-round pick 11 years ago. Went to Boston in that big deal that involved Adrian Gonzalez and Josh Beckett and company. Now he's with the Reds. And he was very tardy. Mauricio took a little off and threw it over at 99.
Son, quit aiming the ball.
Two balls, two strikes. Don't walk him. Tucker Barnhart grounded out, picked up an RBI in his lone at bat.
It's one of the first times he hasn't gotten a strike from his breaking ball, either on a call or a swing.
Terry Pendleton managing in place of Brian Snitker, who was ejected in the 9th inning. Excuse me, the 10th inning, when Adonis Garcia was picked off first. Battle here with De Jesus. Right back where it came from, off the pitcher's foot. And it ends up at the shortstop. Ibar dropped it. I don't know if the ball ever hit the ground.
If he catches it, you got a good argument for it. Hopefully he's all right. That was a smash. But how did Eric miss it? He lost it in the lights.
So an infield hit for DeJesus. And he represents the tying run. And now Tucker Barnhart will dig in. Barnhart has 19 hits in his last 16 games, including 11 RBIs. He's been a hot hitter, making 12 RBIs, including one tonight. And he's up there swinging aggressively at a 100-mile-an-hour pitch.
I sure would have liked to have seen if Eric catches that ball, if they call him out.
That would be an interesting review, because I wonder what camera angles you would have. That ball was hit so hard. We never saw a puff of dirt.
No, and it was a real loud sound off the foot or shoe.
But Ivar couldn't corral it, and DeJesus is at first. Fly ball toward left. Francour's got a beat on that. 2 outs. And here is Cozart, who tied the game with a single in the 9th.
You see DeJesus over there stretching a little bit. He knows that he can take off on the crack of the bat. If there's a gapper somewhere, he'll try to score. Who knows? He may try to run.
High with the breaking ball. 1-0. This guy scares me a little bit. After he homered here last night, he's got 15 long balls on the year. And as you've said, we've said so many times, any hitter in this park is in scoring position.
Yeah.
With a power pitcher on the mound.
Well, he just threw him a breaking ball. It was not a good one again. It was up. And this guy really clobbered a mistake last night from Whistler on a breaking ball. He got it out front, much like Beckham did on his tonight.
Down and away strike. Good place to go. Even count.
Cozart was trying to pull the ball in the 9th inning when he tied it up with that base hit, and did pull it. A good idea to just keep the ball away from him and see if he can roll over the top of one.
Now the Braves are a strike away. One ball, 2 strikes to Zach Cozart, instead to first.
You're seeing a lot of responsibility before your very eyes put on this young man Cabrera, and he's holding up real well.
Swing and a miss, and that's your ball game. Mauricio Cabrera picks up his first win, and the Braves in extra innings have knocked off the Reds by a final score of 5-4.
102-mile-an-hour fastball away, couldn't catch up.
So the Braves couldn't win it in regulation. The Reds tied it up. But in the 11th inning, back-to-back singles and a sacrifice fly picked up Jim Johnson and the rest of the Braves relief corps.